My clash, though, a little bit earlier with Lord Alex Carlile, the former 2011 Prevent Strategy Reviewer. Have a listen.
You have to remember that Prevent is a scheme that depends on cooperation. And I find it very difficult to believe that this perpetrator would have cooperated with Prevent. That may be the reason why he was not admitted to the Prevent programme, which is very successful with many people, but not all.
Well, I would have to say that I would disagree with you on that as well, because Prevent is clearly not fit for purpose. Would you not agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that at all.
What exactly has What exactly has been good that Prevent has done?
Prevent has done what it says in the on the tin.
Well, it hasn't prevented anything, has it? It hasn't prevented young children being killed. No, it hasn't prevented young children from being killed. It hasn't prevented the London Bridge attacker from killing people when he came to Fisherman's Hall. You know, it has failed multiple times to protect the British public. So therefore, the word prevent is not even a suitable moniker for the organisation.
Can I now answer your question?
Please do.
Or whichever question you want me to answer.
Well, you tell me what successes Prevent has provided us with.
I was about to, but you interrupted me during my
first
sentence.
I'm sorry, you're obviously not used to robust conversations, are you? Well, yeah, because I'm not going to be spoken down to like some kind of child, OK? I don't know who you think you are. Just because you're a lord does not give you the ability to lord it over the rest of the public, OK? So talk to me as an equal, or else you can get lost, frankly.
I thought you were a journalist.
I am a journalist. Yes, I am.
Come on. I'm going to answer your question if you'll shut up for a minute.
Go ahead.
Right. Prevent has done a great deal of good. Prevent has prevented large numbers of people from becoming terrorists, but it does not succeed in every case. And you could not expect it to succeed in every case.
Yes, unfortunately, he couldn't actually name one terrorist that hasn't become a terrorist thanks to Prevent, because this is what they say about these organisations. They get a load of public money and they say, what have you actually done today? We prevented loads of people from not being terrorists. Oh, really? Where are they? We can't really say. They're over there somewhere. Well, how do you know they were going to be terrorists? Well, we don't know that. Right, so what you've actually told me is a complete lie. That's right, because I can't actually add up something that might have happened and didn't happen and claim the credit for it. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't say that we've prevented loads of people from being terrorists without saying these are the people that we prevented from being terrorists. He then went on to say that one of them became a journalist. I don't think it was John Rentoul. John Rentoul's here, though, chief political commentator from The Independent. John, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. It wasn't me. No, you're quite right.
As I suspected. Lord Alex Carlile's an interesting cove, right? Only last September, he was talking about how he agreed with previous colleagues of his in the House of Lords who thought that actually more information should be forthcoming in these cases, and it would be more helpful for the general good of society if the kind of information which he now thinks should be released should be released. And so he seems to have changed his mind in the course of a few short months, and I don't understand why he would do that. I've been talking a lot this morning about Keir Starmer's statement yesterday because I think he's being slightly economical with the truth. I'm expecting you probably won't agree with me on this, but I think that to say that you can't say anything about a trial in case you prejudice it is sort of rather like taking a sledgehammer to crack a nut, isn't it?
No, it's not at all. Perfectly reasonable point made by the Prime Minister. And Alex Carlile is a very important guy who's done some very useful public service. And when he says that Prevent, I mean, he's the independent reviewer of the Prevent programme.
Yeah, he was.
Prevent has been successful in some cases. Well, then I would take his word for it rather than yours.
Well, hang on, John. Hang on.
No, Mike.
I've got a fact for you. I've got a fact for you.
You were incredibly rude to him.
No,
and you're not going to play the same games with me.
I've got a fact for you.
To answer your questions, and I'm not going to listen to you interrupting.
You don't have to listen to me interrupting you if you just let me speak. The point is he was removed from the review of Prevent in 2019 for not being impartial enough. What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got quite strong views about terrorism, about Al-Qaeda and about Islamic...
right. Well, why was he removed?
I've got no idea.
But it doesn't exactly...
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, you're saying you would believe him
Mike, I'm really
ahead of
puzzled
me.
as to what... What do you were talking about cultural sensitivities earlier?
Yeah.
You're basically interviewing yourself, which is very entertaining and all that. But it's about time you let somebody else have a word in.
Everybody talks to me.
What do you mean by these cultural sensitivities? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm only using that phrase because that's the phrase that Keir Starmer used yesterday when he was talking about cultural sensitivities and why they should not get in the way of police work and why they should not get in the way of prosecutions and why they should not get in the way of prosecuting people who might be guilty. Well, no, it's his phrase. It's not my phrase. If you want to find out what he means by cultural sensitivities, you should ask him.
What is your difference of opinion with the Prime Minister in that case?
My difference.
He and you are using the same language to describe the same problem.
No, I'm not using the same language to describe the problem. I'm saying that I know very well why there is a two-tier justice system in this country, as does everybody else, and you know it as well. You may not wish to admit it.
I don't. You're talking rubbish, and you can't substantiate.
All right.
Why do you think the Prime Minister did not disclose the information that he knew about?
He said why he didn't disclose it. He says he didn't disclose it because it might prejudice the trial. However, my argument with that is an argument about the law, because I've been a journalist for a very long time. I've never prejudiced the trial. I've never been found in contempt of court, and I know exactly where the boundaries are and what you can say and what you can't say. And as people have pointed out, there have been previous cases where terrorism has been a factor, as it is in this case, because he's now admitted that it was a factor, even though it was decided that they wouldn't call it that at the beginning until last October, when they did finally charge Rudy Cabana with a terrorism offence. What's basically happened here is that they've taken those cultural sensitivities and allowed them to affect the case, and that's
in your opinion.
Well, no, that's what Keir Starmer said yesterday.
No, it isn't. No, that is not. No, he said he did not disclose that information because it would prejudice the trial.
No,
you say that is not true and that he has a different motive. Why does that matter?
Well, it matters because I think people are concerned that there are two things going on here. When Joe Cox's murder happened, right? The perpetrator of that murder was called a terrorist straight away, OK? They didn't wait for the trial. They didn't wait until it came out in court. Okay. They said it, OK? In the same way.
Why does that why does it matter that Keir Starmer didn't disclose this information?
Well, it matters because if Keir Starmer is not being entirely truthful about why he didn't release it, and I think we all know that he's being slightly careful in the way that he says these things, right? You know that Keir Starmer was quite happy to label everybody far right who took part in the riots.
No, he wasn't. He said the issue was exploited by the far right.
No, he said that they.
Mike, he talks
about far right thugs who hadn't yet been in court.
How does it help prevent similar awful atrocities happening in the future to go on and on about why Keir Starmer didn't say something because he thought it would prejudice the trial?
Well, I think it matters because I think we need to know the truth. And we need to know the motivation. And quite frankly, as I've said...
How does it help
as I've said before, if you've got a terrorism act that takes place at a particular time, at a particular place, the people, I think, have a right to know that it was an act of terrorism. Because, for example...
But this is just playing with words,
No,
Mike.
it's not.
As the Prime Minister explained very carefully yesterday, there are different definitions of terrorism. This guy, the Southport killer, was not a conventional terrorist in the sense that he was affiliated to
a conventional terrorist. Well, what would you describe as a conventional terrorist?
Well, he was someone who was obsessed with violence,
right,
and didn't appear to have an ideology. Yes,
but he obviously did have an ideology.
A form of terrorism.
Well, yeah,
but that also applies to American school shootings, as the Prime Minister said.
He's not president of America.
You're just dancing on the head of a pin.
No, it's
not.
What
is the purpose of your trying to spread doubt and
not at all. No, listen, what I do, John, is I reflect the feelings of the people that listen to me, OK? I'm not spreading anything. And what people say to me is they don't trust
You're on
the
television,
system.
Mike. You are talking to the people. You are spreading stuff.
No, I'm sharing what people's concerns are, because an awful lot of the media doesn't do that, OK? And in fact, Beth Rigby and Harry Cole yesterday were standout members of the press because they actually asked the right question to the Prime Minister. Because
so they did ask the question. So there isn't an MSM conspiracy, no.
I've never said said there's any kind of conspiracy. I don't know what.
You just said it. You just said that. You just said that you reflect things that other people don't reflect on the media.
Yeah, that's true. Because many people watch us because they don't.
You have opinions which are not shared by everybody in this country.
I have opinions which are shared by a lot of people in this country.
But I'm entitled to disagree with them.
Oh, of course you can disagree. That's why we've got you here. We have you on here to disagree with me, John, because it's important that we have.
And I'm doing a very good job of it.
You do a very good job of it. I mean, it doesn't help that after every session we have, everybody tells me that you've been completely hopeless and useless at defending your position. But that doesn't matter. The point is that surely you would agree.
Because you have a very particular audience on this channel.
Surely you would agree, John, that it's important that we trust our politicians. It's important that we trust the Prime Minister.
And at the moment, trying to undermine that trust.
No, I'm not trying to undermine it. He's undermining it himself by behaving in the way that he does. You can explain away, if you wish, why Keir Starmer is so unpopular in this country. I have a view of why he is. Why do you think he's so unpopular?
Well, because he's inherited a very difficult situation from the Conservatives, and he's not very good at politics.
He inherited it in July. Simple. He inherited it in July, and now that he's been in 6 months, people hate him even more.
Yes, because some of the chickens have come home to roost from the Tory.
So it's nothing to do with what he's done.
Incontinence. So well, he's not a great communicator. He's terrible. He's not Tony Blair, which is a shame.
He's terrible.
Well, I don't think he is terrible, and I don't think when he says that he didn't disclose this information because he feared it would prejudice the trial, I don't think you've got any right to question his motivation.
I have every right to question his motivation because I'm a journalist, unlike you, who are just a hagiographer of people that you agree with, right? Let's have a listen to what Keir Starmer said about not prejudicing the trial of people who had been involved in the riots. Have a look.
I won't shy away from calling it what it is: far-right thuggery. To those who feel targeted because of the colour of your skin or your faith, I know how frightening this must be. I want you to know that this violent mob do not represent our country, and we will bring them to justice.
I would say that might be prejudicial to a trial, wouldn't you?
No.
No,
I don't see why not. Well, you think throwing bricks at a mosque?
No, I'm not talking about the alleged crime. Hang on, John. You're innocent until proven guilty, right? You would agree with that premise, presumably.
Yes, of course.
So everyone who turns up who has been charged with a crime is entitled to a fair trial. You would agree with that. So when the Prime Minister alleges that you, as somebody who has been charged with a crime, are a far-right thug and basically terrorising people in their community, surely that is prejudicial to your possible innocence, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
You
because
don't think so?
Those trials would have gone on the evidence, and I think.
But the trial of a boy the trial of a man who was found in a room with 3 dead children and several bloody teachers, his trial was more likely to be somehow unsuccessful.
Well, I don't know, but it could have been prejudiced by disclosure. Well, because you're then influencing the jury if you.
What about when Angela Rayner said in I think it was late July, basically anyone who says this is an act of terrorism is spreading fake news and conspiracy theories. That was wrong. She shouldn't have said that.
No, she shouldn't have said that. And I agree with you, actually, Mike, that the Prime Minister shouldn't have used the term far right. I don't think it was helpful.
No, I don't think so. So all I'm saying is that
I don't think it made a jot of difference to those.
No, but it makes
the trials of those people involved in violence.
Well, maybe not, but it makes a difference to the people who see how he behaves and how he speaks. And if he wants to be taken seriously, and he wants to be trusted, and he wants to restore trust and transparency, as he always says, and he said it yesterday in the government, then he needs to behave in a transparent way. And he hasn't been transparent. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's a difficult business being Prime Minister.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't speak perfectly, but his point was absolutely clear, which he made several times on other occasions, which is that the issue in Southport was being exploited by right-wing organisations. I mean,
yes,
I wouldn't use
that wasn't the story.
Right and left in any of these contexts myself.
But that wasn't the story.
His point was perfectly straightforward and perfectly simple, and people like you, I'm afraid, have deliberately misunderstood it.
Not at all.
Are trying to cause trouble.
No, I'm not trying to cause trouble at all. Keir Starmer is trying to convince us all, while telling us that he withheld information for a particular reason which I don't happen to believe. He says he did it because he was worried that there wouldn't be a fair trial.
Well, we're back to the start, Mike.
Yeah.
Why does it matter that he withheld information for a different reason? It doesn't make any difference.
Because I want him to be truthful.
It doesn't make any difference to the court case. It doesn't make any difference to preventing this kind of stuff happening in
It's
future.
not about preventing it happening. You can't prevent nutters from carrying out terrorist acts and being horrible murderers. You can't really prevent
I wish you told that to Alex Carlile when you had him on, because I mean that's the whole point of the.
Well, I would have done if he'd given me the opportunity to speak, except for he kept interrupting me. But
you kept interrupting him, Mike.
No,
sorry.
It's my show.
It's my show,
right?
You just played the clip.
It's my show. I'm not interruptible, right?
Well, either it's your show or you didn't keep interrupting him. I'm not sure which is.
Well,
which
like I always
defense
say,
you're gonna go
you and I have an understanding. I'm very happy for you to keep talking, but occasionally other people are not as good as you at stopping talking, so I have to interrupt them in order to make a point. Let me ask you one final question. Piece of the Telegraph today: Merseyside detectives wanted to provide details about the killer's background, including his religion and his crimes, but they were warned not to do so by the Crown Prosecution Service. Are you going to tell me that the Merseyside police don't understand the rules of contempt of court? Because I bet they do.
Well, but I think these things are complicated.
Yeah,
but there are rules of contempt of court.
I know there are.
And there is a perfectly reasonable debate to be had about what could be disclosed and what couldn't be. But I don't think that
That's all I'm doing.
I don't want, and I certainly don't think that Nigel Farage and his lot are engaged in a reasonable debate. I think they're trying to cause trouble. They're trying to spread
disagree.
theories, and I don't think that is going to help prevent this kind of thing happening in the future, which is very, as you say, very, very difficult, because you're talking about psychologically disturbed individuals.
Exactly.
Although this guy didn't plead insanity or anything.
He didn't plead guilty until this week, by the way.
Well, yeah, it is very, very difficult to prevent this kind of thing. But there are people who are trying in good faith, people like Alex Carlile, to try and deal with these
Not
problems
anymore, not since he got kicked off the board.
Before they arise,
you know.
And I think we should recognise how difficult that is, which you've just done, instead of giving people such a hard time.
Well, yeah, but he can't sit there and tell me Prevent does a great job, because it doesn't. It's as simple as that.
You don't know. You don't know what it's.
Of course I do. Well, I've just said.
By definition.
But as I've just said, you know, it's a bit like me saying I've just saved the world, right? I've just stopped an incredibly dangerous plot to kill the Prime Minister, right? Oh, what can you tell us about it? I can't tell you anything about it. So you don't really know.
Well, this is what the security services do all the time. They're always telling us that they've foiled these plots, and we've got no way of knowing whether it's true.
And I believe them.
We have to take it on trust.
Anyway, I can't take everything on trust. I'm a journalist, John, as I said. Maybe it's time for you to write another biography of a Prime Minister. John Rentoul, Chief Political Commentator